Hello and welcome to Elvenhome and to this part 2 of the scenic work around the building of the garden of the vicarage of St Eldar. I'm looking at the garden now. It's all finished and completed and I hope you'll enjoy the completion of this bit of work. Right at the end I'll just talk about what's left to do up here now, which I won't be doing as separate videos but merely as part of monthly updates, and in the description I will put a full list of all the things that I bought for to make the garden, and I think I may add in a couple of the things that I purchased for the churchyard as well, just so there's a full list, and the link will be to the place from which I originally bought it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the cheapest. You may do better shopping around, but at least it'll give you a link to the things that I purchased. So without further ado, let's get on with the building of the garden. What I propose to do through the video is to do a piece of work and then show you what I've done, rather than do it as show you as I go along each individual piece. Because as I found from the last video, that can take up 20 minutes before you do anything else, like intros or trains running and things. So to show you where we've got to, from the last video when you saw it all laid out, I've started work obviously on doing the driveway. I masked out these sections with some card and then put the glue down. The steps are now glued in. The first layer of the rose beds are in, and this has had its scenic earth put in as well. I've done a very thin base coat of the dark horse colour, just to give me a base coat on which to put the grass when it comes, and I'm pleased to say, because I've stuck this down so well, this hasn't all started crinkling up. And I've started constructing the pond. The pond is some of the Woodland Scenic shaper sheet, which was shaped around the piece that had been cut out to give me a broad shape, and then put in with a little bit of the Woodland Scenic's plaster over the top of the shaper sheet. I did think about using plaster bandage, but I suspected that as you put the layers of plaster bandage over, it would be too deep. And the pond has been sealed first of all with a thin layer of the aqua water from, let me just check, it's Aqau Magic from Deluxe. And this morning the deeper layer, which again no more than 3mm, has gone in, which is what they recommend, and that will take 24 hours to dry, and it starts off cloudy but apparently dries clear. So we'll see how that looks when it's all finished. Two things that I don't think you saw very well when I had the house on before, which I've now painted up and weathered somewhat. That's the paving area on which the house is going to sit. I'll get the house in just a minute. That sits about there, and then the house sits on top of that. One of the last things I'll do is put the gates in, but the house sits on top of the paved area like that. Oh, I forgot one thing. And then the crazy paving, which you didn't see last time, that's a section of plasticard, shaped embossed plasticard, and copying from a number of other sites. I painted the individual stones various different colours, and then a slight wash over the top of them just to give it a weathered look, and that obviously sits in the cutout that is there, or will do eventually, to run down to the end, and then the house sits on top all together. I get it into the right position, that's about right. Let's move down, there we go. So that's what that will look like, and that will get glued in fairly soon, the paving, because I want that in place for when I do the static grass, which is probably the next thing. I think a little bit more earth needs to go down here just to cover over that fully and get me the shape of the rose bushes, where the dahlias will be rather, and then I can do the scenic grass. So I'll come back once I've completed this part and we've got the scenic grass into these sections, as well. Well, here we are a few days on from the last image that you saw, and I'll just talk you through the things that I've completed in that time. First of all, the flowering bushes have gone in. I can't remember whether I'd put the scenic earth in underneath them, but scenic earth has gone in and the bushes on top, and I had more than enough to be able to put one bush at the end of the footpath outside the church, and the others, which I think you can just about see on the top left, are up by the station, so that's rather good. The roses are in their position at the front, and the dahlias around the pond. That again is the Jarvis scenic earth scatter that they do, but this time it's been fixed in place by mixing it with the deluxe Ballast Magic, which I wanted to test out before I actually get around to doing ballasting, and I've got a lot of that to do at some point, just to see whether it works very well. And it's a powder which you mix up with your scenic material or ballast, which is what it's really intended for, and then spray with water, and the water energizes the powder, and the powder bonds everything together. And I thought, well, actually that might be an interesting way to do ballast, but it's worked really well for the flower beds, and this is quite bonded in quite tight, this stuff, and it's all nicely stuck together, with all the roses at the front, which is what I wanted, the dahlias around the pond, and that is clump foliage, a bit of clump foliage which I've stuck around the back of the pond. You can see that this now has been stuck down, as has the path, and I painted around the edges here to get rid of some of the black that was still showing through, so just to take that away. I think you can see, but I'll just come to the camera and go in a bit closer to show you what the pathway and around the pond. Let's just go up to the pond actually. There's the pond. This is just plastic hard paving, big slabs of paving, just painted up and obviously cut into individual pieces. And similarly, the pathway to the shed is the same idea, just in individual pieces, and then obviously stuck down. And they were put down before the static grass was put on, because I wanted the grass to come over the edges, both of the pond actually, and the flower beds, and that pathway, so that it doesn't look as though the path had been stuck on top of the grass, which would look a bit odd. So that's pretty good. The fences have gone in at the back, and I'll show you how I made the fences. If I come, you can see the fence in that image, and you can see it poking through there. And as you know, I'm not one for throwing anything away. Let me come out, because I don't think this will focus otherwise. In the Dahlia kit, for those of you that want to cast your mind back to the previous video, the sprue that it came on had a guard on top to protect the individual stems. And if I bring this into shot now, you can see that's the guard. Put my hand behind it, there you go. That's the guard. And I thought when I saw that would come in useful for something. It may come in as a decoration on a building or something. And I couldn't for the life of me work out what I was going to use by way of a fence for the back. Until I happened to be fiddling with a couple of these and put them back to back. And there you have a fence. It's really rather good. So that's 2 or 4, because it's 4 sprues worth. Fixed back to back, painted up in a browny colour to make it look a bit like wood, and obviously one of them has been chopped to be able to put it at the right angles. And there's my back fence. And the interesting thing with that is that I couldn't for the life of me work out what I wanted at the back there. I didn't want anything too heavy that would obscure either the gate or the greenhouse once it goes in. And I'm very pleased to say that it doesn't. It looks rather nice, and just shows you that you don't have to spend a lot of money to do things, just use offcuts from the kits that you've got. So there remain to go in the hydrangeas and the apple trees. And I've pretty much settled what I'm going to do at the back. I don't know if I can. Let me just show you what I'm roughly where I'm going to be putting things. The greenhouse. If I get the door end, which is always rather useful. There we go. The greenhouse sits in here, and the path that's been laid here has 2 stones. Let me just see. Can you see that? No, you can't. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to lift you off. I'll try not to make you see. There we go. So, what we're going to do down here, I think, is more of the scenic earth with the Ballast Magic to create a vegetable patch along here. Let's take that out of the way. Along here, I've got a kit of runner beans coming and some cabbages. They're either spring cabbages or late runner beans, depending on which season you want to be in. And also some tomato plants. And I'm rather hoping that the tomato plants will fit under the greenhouse, because it would be rather nice to have something in the greenhouse and some tomato plants growing in it. And I'll probably try and make them fit, I think. But we'll see. We'll see how big they are when they come. And that will finish off that area. That won't take very much to do. But those parts have yet to arrive, so there'll be another few days before that's done. The remainder, you can get a much better idea of the pond and the dahlias, which does look really rather pleasing. And then if I come round so you can get a good look at there's your roses, which is rather nice. And I think what I may do, I'll see how it comes out, is I may have a go with the train cam and try and take some footage of the train cam sat where the house would be, because once the house is in I won't be able to do that quite as well. So we'll see if that comes off. If it does, you'll see it. If it doesn't, you won't. So that's about there. I've got those bits to do, and what I'll do is I'll come back once I've completed the garden. So once the trees are in and the hydrangeas are in, and then I shall fit the house with its gates. And that will just leave me then, the last bit to do will be around the vegetable patch. But I have to say, I'm really rather pleased with that. That is how I imagined it. It looks rather good, and I'm quite pleased with that. So come back to you in a bit once I've done those other bits of work. Well, here we have the house on. I've not stuck the house down just yet, because I'm hopeful that the materials that I've ordered from Hattons will be here in the next couple of days, so I may well be able to get the back end of the garden finished in time for the publication of this video. In fact, I should do, because I'm a little ahead of schedule. So the apple trees are in, 3 on either side. The hydrangeas are in down the end of the garden. There's some right actually at the end and along the side of the hedge, as I intended to do. And so the main part of the garden is all finished, and I think I'm really pleased with it. The gates are in. As you can see, the vicar's actually moved in now. He's got there with his car, and that looks quite what I had in mind. That's the important thing. And one of the things that occurred to me as I was doing this, that of course all this work that I've been doing up here since November, was never in my mind when I built the layout. This whole top area was originally just going to be the track sweeping round into Weathertop Station and a hill climbing up for the track. And the idea of this upper section came to me while I was on holiday last October, and as you will know from following my videos, has pretty much consumed me for the last 6 months. So it's amazing how building a layout, you have a clear plan, and then you go and do something else. But I'm really pleased with this. So I'll come back once I've got the vegetable patch done, which will be about the last segment of this video, and then I have in mind something right for the end to give you a good look of this area before I finish. So I'll speak to you again in just a moment. Well, here we are with the garden now completely finished. The house isn't stuck down, but it will be stuck down very soon. And if we come round to the back, I can show you the vegetable patch at the back, and you can see that we've got the runner beans in here, some purple cabbage going along the back. The tomato plants were too tall to go into the greenhouse, but the greenhouse has because it's got the earth underneath it, there's all scenic earth all across there. That works quite well. I'd forgotten that I'd ordered some water iris as well, which have gone into the pond, and that's really brought the pond up too. One thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the scenic grass, I'd seen on a number of sites about not using just one colour of scenic grass because it gives you a uniform effect which you don't see with grass. So the scenic grass both here and in the churchyard, the first layer is a mix of 1 and 2 millimetre Pico scenic grass, I think. And then on top of that I put some 2 millimetre summer scenic grass, and that, I think you'll agree, if I can come out of the lights, there we are, does give you a variegated effect, and of course it's painted brown underneath. So I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. So that's the garden done. The garden is now finished. Some of you may breathe a sigh of relief. As I think I said in the previous section, I'm not going to do separate videos on the remainder of the scenic work up here. There is more to be done. The eagle-eyed of you may notice that this has changed here. I don't know why. I thought it looked okay when it was all square on, but I think what I've decided is that the road will disappear around the back of the houses. This is going to be at an angle right on the road, so there'll be no fence at front. There's plenty of cottages which go straight onto a road, because this is really more of a country lane just to the church. It doesn't go anywhere else once it gets past here. And I'll put a dividing fence through here with the gardener living here so he can get through the gate. And I've got some more runner beans and tomato plants and cabbages to go in his garden. And I'll think about that because I haven't quite finished in my mind. The station area needs to be finished off. The brown area is actually a bit of papier mâché, just to try and give a bit of contour, which will have some, I think, just bushes, because I'm not going to put any trees at this end. This is the most exposed end of the board when it's off the layout. And otherwise, I'm still not sure about this road, but it may be once all the scenic work's done that it looks fine. It looks a bit light, so that may get repainted, but we'll see. So that's really it for this video. The next section gives you a chance to have a look at the layout with some trains running, and in particular the area around this garden. If you've please do like the video if you've liked it, and share it. If you haven't subscribed before, please do hit the subscribe button and the bell notification beside, which will get you notified when I upload, and it'd be great to have you along. But from Elvenhome and the Vicar's new garden, bye bye.